Well, you can never say that the Stars are not exciting, at least, right, guys? Welcome to Starcastic Remarks. This is the after game review for the game against the Montreal Canadiens. Uh, I guess we see, prime Carey Price in this game and Sam Montembeault. The guy stands on his head upside down and levitates and somehow wills his team to a win by a final score of 4-3 over the Stars tonight. The Stars throw everything at Sam Montembeault that they possibly can get. There's a couple of maybe some goals that Wedgwood would want back, but at the same time, guys, it tonight's game was just absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen a game quite like this. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, so one-sided by the team that ended up losing. And I don't think if you play this game 9 other times, the Stars have at least 3 power plays, probably all 9 of them. I mean, how do you get one power play after dominating the game that badly? And there was so many chances to call stuff too. The hooking, cross-checking, all kinds of stuff you could have called on Montreal this game, and we get none of them. And in fact, Montreal gets bailed out in the third period and gets those 6 minutes to survive the period. So yeah, really frustrating because the Stars played a great game. The Stars played really well all game long. We got stoned by Montembeault and we got stoned by the officials. Super frustrating.
James,
Yeah,
what do you
that's
think?
that's pretty much how it felt, at least in the third. We controlled pretty much the whole game. We were giving Montreal pretty much nothing. They had 18 shots on the night. You can't ask for more, really. I mean, and still 4 get in somehow, it's a rough game from Wedgwood, to say the least. That's probably being nice, but
yeah,
and somehow the Stars still almost win it at the end too.
Yeah. This was Wedgie's worst game that he's had since Otter's been hurt. And he deserves some grace too, though, because of how good he's been recently. And yeah, other than the first 10 minutes of the first period, which we still scored a goal in somehow, the Stars dominated the game for the whole other 50 minutes. And it's a miracle that we didn't get more power plays. It's a miracle we didn't get more goals. And Montembeault deserves all the credit. I'm sure he'll get first star tonight.
Even with letting in those 3 goals, he still deserves this #1 star without a doubt.
Easily.
Okay, so lots of things to talk about. Y'all hit a bunch of nails right there to kind of discuss. The first thing we got to make sure that we discuss is we're allowed to be frustrated, I feel like, as fans right now, but we cannot be mad at the Stars. Overall, I think that is a fair assessment to say that yes, there are mistakes, but when you lose a game, what's going to come back glaring? The mistakes that were made, okay? Even when we have wins, there's going to be mistakes that are made, and we just don't highlight those because we feel more positive about the game. We won the game. We got extra points in the standings. This is a game that absolutely should have gone our way, and I think we got to be careful not to look at this game and be all hacked off about it, because what we should really kind of chop it up to in the fact is we got goalied.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what it is. And in the bounces also, just the hockey gods were not in our favor a little bit tonight. And also the refs did not help either. So what I want to hit first, though, is you have to talk about him, Sam Montembeault. Sam Montembeault is the single and only defining factor of this game tonight. And I mean, this game should have been 6-2 the other way, maybe even 6-1 the other way in favor of the Stars. You have any other goalie, any other night, there's no way that the Stars don't get 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 goals in tonight's game. That's just the way that I view it.
Yeah, his timely saves especially were the big factor here. I mean, the big push that the Stars had when it was 2-1, they had that big push in the second period. Montembeault stops them all, goes the other way, 3-on-2, and Montreal gets the goal.
One chance. That's one stinking mistake. One chance.
That's the defining factor of the game, I feel like, is that right there. Montembeault makes 3 massive saves in a row after 2 or 3 minutes of sustained pressure by the Stars, and especially that Duchesne line that's been so good 5-on-5. Somehow we don't get a power play out of that. Again, back to the refs thing, but they get that one the other way. It's a good shot. Wedgie probably wishes he had it back. He was cheating a little bit to the passing side, and that changed the game. 3 big saves right when they needed them, and the Stars didn't get a save when they needed it. And that's kind of what it came down to. Clutch genes tonight, and the goalies, they were in Montreal's favor.
And this is crazy to think that Montembeault, and he's been good for the Canadiens ever since he's gotten there. He was claimed off of waivers. I don't even remember from where he was claimed off of waivers, but he just recently signed a 3-year extension for like $3.45 million. I'm just pulling it out of the air. It's somewhere around there. But tonight is the perfect reason why he deserves that extension 100%. So,
and he's good, but he plays amazing against the Stars. Every time we play against Montembeault, he's outstanding.
Yep, he really was the defining factor in the game tonight. Now let's talk about a couple of the mistakes for the Stars here this evening. The one thing that I was a little bit frustrated with was, again, a more general sense, was puck management, but specifically not being crisp enough with our passes, especially in the first and the second period. It got better in the third, but I just felt that the Stars were, and Casey and James and Dad were saying it in the living room there. It just felt like we were like a step slow, like just a half step slow. It always felt like we were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and just Montreal just happened to be there. And I think a little bit of it was the fact that Montreal was playing pretty well, making sure they were getting their sticks in their lanes. But I think the other part of it was just the Stars were not crisp enough with their passes tonight.
Yeah, and that's definitely been one of the issues this team has had whenever they're not playing as good as they can. It's definitely those passes, and I've talked about the shorter passes are actually more important for this team than those long stretch passes. I mean, if we can make 2 quick passes in our own end, we're pretty much out of our zone every single time. But the problem is getting those 2 quick passes. I mean, those are easier to say than to do. The other thing that I felt was kind of an issue in this game, which is kind of different, I feel like, for the Stars, was the lack of back checking. In the first period, and even on that third goal by Montreal, it felt like they just had too much time back there. There wasn't someone barreling down, pressuring them to make a play quickly. It felt like they had too much time. That might have just been me, though.
Just for me specifically, it just felt like on those particular plays, just Montreal just happened to get the perfect play at the right time. Especially that fourth goal, the power play goal. I was like, of course.
Yeah, that one.
I was like, of course. Really?
That was their best goal of the night by far.
Yeah.
So that's just something I noticed from the Stars, to be completely honest, is the fact that they just didn't have their crisp enough passes. Now, let's get to the next topic, and I was less upset about it than James and Dad were, especially in the watching it in the living room. But I want to get y'all's take on the officiating tonight, because I mean the penalties they called on Dallas were obvious ones. I mean they really were. But at the same time, I can also understand the argument and the fact that the Stars were dominating the game, especially from a pressure standpoint, from a momentum standpoint. And you're telling me we get 1 power play for the entire game? I could also see that as well. So I just wanted to get y'all's takes on the officiating here tonight.
Yeah, my problem is not the calls on Dallas. I mean, both of those calls were pretty much, you must call them. I mean, it was a high-sticking double minor, and it was an obvious trip by Pavelski, a pretty bad one, too. It was just stupid. He wasn't thinking. But there was so many chances to call penalties on Montreal in this game, in scoring chances, in the offensive zone. It's on our best players. I mean, Jason Robertson gets that hooking call gets hooked on the third period on a wide open net, and there's no call at all. He's not on the stick. He's on his hands, 100%. There's an obvious one right there that could have changed the tide. And there was more than that throughout the night. Anytime the Stars had a good forecheck going, it was holds, it was hooks, it was slashes, nothing was called.
Even on Montreal's third goal, I thought that Steele was held back from getting that puck. He kind of got it in on the offensive blue line, and he was trying to get back to the puck, and he's held back, and that's how they get the 3-on-1 the other way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Chris Motto 100% agrees with you right there. Showed it up there while you were talking. I'm not mad at the rest for the penalties against the Stars. It's the no calls the other way.
Yeah.
But you're telling me one power play. That's all we got out of this game, was that we deserved 1 power play, even though we dominated for 50 minutes out of the 60 minutes of the game. I just don't see that.
That's really what's frustrating. And even in the double minor penalty kill. I mean, we were dominating during that too. Montreal didn't have anything during that.
Yeah, I mean, they could have called a penalty when Sagan was forechecking on that penalty kill. They didn't call one there.
And one on Johnston when he snuck to the front of the net.
Yep, nothing there either.
Anything there on officiating? Anything else?
Was bad, need better.
There you go, 4 words. I want to move on to Wedgwood a little bit, because there's a lot of talk over in the chat over here about Wedgwood tonight, and I think you give this as a grace game to Wedgwood.
Yeah,
I mean, not even Otter has played this many games in a row this season, and you can't be mad at this game either, because yes, he got outplayed, but that was like a ridiculous all-star Hall of Fame kind of caliber thing that we saw from Sam Montembeault tonight. So you can't be mad about the fact that he was the better goalie.
It is
but
also it's fair to say he had a bad game though. He played.
Yes, no, yeah. But what I'm saying though is I don't think it's fair for us to hamper on him and punch him while he's down, because I mean, you have to look at his record right now. We're 7-2-2 with him in the net in his last 10 games that he's played. Like, we seriously can't be mad about that. He had one bad game out of the last 9 or 10. I guess you could argue maybe the first Chicago game was kind of meh on his part, but he's giving this team good enough goaltending in order for us to win games, and the offense is able to reciprocate and get enough goals to win games most of the time.
Yeah, from a backup goalie, you got to expect something like this. This is probably what our fear was, is that we would see this wedgie the entire time that Otter was out, and thankfully that hasn't been true. And as long as that stays not being true, we can keep Otter recovering as much as he needs to from whatever weird injury he's having, and make sure he doesn't come back and re-injure it. So this just can't become a pattern.
And Wedgwood had a game like this, like y'all were talking about. He had this game against Chicago as well. But the goaltender on the other side of the ice didn't stand on his head. So you don't notice it as much, but he let in 4 on 20 shots before in this stretch. We just won that game.
Yeah.
And then Ryan over here, does this game tonight prove that Wedgwood can't sustain being an active starting goalie? I disagree with I don't think that this game proves that he can't. If anything, he's proven that he can. Especially with the current stretch of all of these games. So
I don't think
that's just
true,
okay. Well, tell me why I'm wrong though, James.
Okay, his goals against average is 3, and he's going to let in 3 every single night. And the amount of times we've had to come back within the last 30 days is insane. It is. We should have at best like a 500 record over the past 30 games, and we're like 70 points percentage wise. That's insane.
Yeah, I think calling him a starting goalie is a bridge too far. He's been very good as our backup. He's done exactly what we need to do. He's given us a chance to win the game, and the Stars have played better around him. We've done better clearing rebounds, stuff like that. And like James said, the offense has really picked up as well. So Wedgie's playing very good. He's the unsung hero so far of the season, but it's not the same caliber that we're getting from Jake Ottinger. We're not getting those clutch saves. We're not getting those massive penalty kills that we were getting from Otter that when he's playing well. So not quite to that point, but he has been very good as a backup goalie and has done his job that we've needed him to do during this stretch for sure.
Yeah, and that's about where I am at too, Chris. I can't really add anything to that doesn't further the situation. James, I'll let you talk about it. Next thing. Casey is kind of helping us with the outline tonight. So let's talk about the Johnson goal. How about that? Johnson finally gets over his 16 game goal streak. The monkey is off the bat.
Long, man. And he finally doesn't get robbed against the best goaltender performance that we faced this entire time. Like, what?
That doesn't make any sense.
He does it all himself too, man. I mean, he throws it on net, he chases it, he gets the rebound, dances around another defender, and backhands it over Montembeault. I mean, just beautiful.
That was disgusting.
And
it was disgusting. Agreed.
And it lit the whole team on fire.
Yep.
And it gave us a little bit of life. I didn't say this out loud. I should have, because then I could have claimed it as my own thought. But I was I was thinking during that whole thing is we just need someone just to do something, like an individual effort to get us just one. And then maybe that gives us a chance to come back in this game. And I was right. I mean, we got really close to getting back into this game and tying it up, and it just wasn't in the cards tonight, unfortunately. Well, it wasn't in Sam Montembeau's cards. He was holding two aces.
Yeah.
But seriously, his goal really kind of sparked that 6-on-5 barrage that was from the Stars there at the third period. So let's kind of get into that a little bit.
The whole 6-on-5 was ridiculous because like we scored 2 goals on it, and we probably should have had like 5.
Montembeau made huge saves during that too. Yeah, and that was it was good 6-on-5 by the Stars. We played it really well, but man, that was some awful defending. I mean, they were playing it like it was a penalty kill, and they just had a rover just going between their 4 penalty killers. I mean, that was some terrible defending by the Canadiens, but the Stars really did take advantage of it very well. And they've done good 6-on-5 pretty much all year.
And you know what? The other thing that I kind of want to mention, and this is just a thought I had, is we need to give Pete DeBoer some credit here. When the Stars have looked pedestrian or they've looked like they've been out of games, Pete DeBoer has made some really smart coaching decisions the last couple of weeks that has allowed the Stars to either be able to stay in the game or to get back into the game or even win the game. We talked a couple of weeks ago. It was the second game of a back-to-back. I don't even remember who it was against, but we were down and we probably should have been up at that point. And what did he do? He went through and he completely switched up the lines, the top 3 lines, because the 4th line was the only one going. And that allowed us to at least get a point in the game. That was excellent. Tonight, he makes the decision that he normally doesn't do. He says, okay, this guy's standing on his head. Normally, we don't do this, but I'm going to pull the goalie with 6 minutes remaining, 6.5 minutes remaining. He pulls a Dean Evison from the Minnesota Wild, and they never allowed another goal after that. They didn't. That net was open for a majority of the third period because because Woodward was on the bench, and it gave the Stars a chance, along with Johnson, to get back into this game and at least make it interesting at the end.
Yeah, and definitely saying it recently is true as well, because we did complain a little bit earlier on in the season how when it felt like we couldn't get anything going, he wouldn't pull goalies. That was frustrating us. He wouldn't scramble the lines. And it feels like more recently he's inserting himself into the game a little bit more when it's needed, especially tonight. He read the room perfectly. I mean, the Stars were barreling down. We were playing really good offensively. That's a perfect time to try and go for it when you're down 3 goals and to pull the goalie. I mean, if the Stars were playing bad and we were down 4-1, I mean, there's not really a point to do that. But he felt the momentum. He felt how the Stars offense was going, decided to go for it, and it was a great decision. And I hope he keeps inserting himself that way, even within games, not just within the season, because it works pretty much every time he does it. I think actually I'm going to add a little bit more onto that. I think maybe the reason he's trying to stay away from the goalies is because of his past that he had in Vegas. He got into some goalie drama. So maybe he's just trying to be as hands off as possible with that. That might be the case.
Fair enough. I wanted to get into this a little bit, but Harrison, I'm honestly surprised Murray didn't start one of the last 3 games, which leaves me to believe Jake is close to returning. It's been about 2 weeks. So they mentioned after he got the injury that he would be week to week, and that's generally what it is when they say week to week. It's about 2 to 3 weeks. As for the surprise that Murray didn't start a game, I am a little bit too. I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't start at least against the first game against the Blackhawks, because, I mean, no offense to the Blackhawks, but it's the Blackhawks. You need to rest your guy who has been just playing every single minute of every single game since your number 1 goalie left. I'm just a little bit surprised that we didn't see Murray in especially one of those 2 Chicago games.
I'm not really surprised. Murray in, who's the other guy? Poirier? I don't know how to say his name.
Remy Poirier.
Yeah. they're just not good enough. I mean, if you look at the AHL stuff going on as well, that's one of the reasons Bork and Stankoven are lighting up the league is because they have to win games. I mean, we're scoring 6 goals a game in Cedar Park, and we're still scraping out wins 6-4. So they're just not ready yet. I mean, they needed a little bit more fine tuning down the AHL, and goalies take a little bit longer too. I think putting them in a game like this just gives them the option to get lit up and pulled and all their confidence taken away. And I just think it's not worth it. It's not like we're going to be riding Wedgie for the whole rest of the season. We only need him for a few more weeks for Otter to come back.
Yeah, especially with how the NHL has gone this year. I feel like that's a really dangerous thing to do if your goaltender does not play good. I mean, if he plays good, then it doesn't hurt him at all, right? But if he plays it like any amount of bad, you're going to have to pull him, and you're probably going to lose the game, likely. And even with if your team scores like 4 goals a night, you're seeing these huge comeback wins from other teams that should never happen in a normal season that are just happening this year.
Yeah. It's fertile ground for screwing up a goaltender's mind in the NHL right now.
And nightmare fuel for
young goalies.
Fair enough. Couple more questions. They're quicker questions. Lundqvist, what did you think of his play tonight? I honestly think that I know someone said in the chat earlier, I think it was probably Ardell, said that he sits the next game. I don't think he sits the next game because I don't think Hanley's ready to come back yet.
Yes, either. Taking a puck to the face like that's rough.
Yeah.
Didn't notice Lundqvist very much, honestly.
I didn't think he played bad, but again, he's just not. And maybe this is the whole thing we've talked about with young guys, with the Stars, and unless they're just like that caliber and they're just that ready to go, that they're scared to make mistakes because they know if they make a mistake, they're gonna get scratched, and that maybe that's where Lundqvist is at right now.
Well, don't make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Great job.
Nice. Good job, James.
Harrison, one more time. Do we think Fox is back next game, or does he sit a third game in a row?
No.
Well, so here's the thing I thought about. I think Fox might be nursing some minor little injury, because I would have expected him to be back in this game tonight. Will we see him in the next?
The only reason he wasn't back in this game is because the offense on the fourth line worked so well last game. We had to see if that was repeatable, and then it wasn't. And then the defense wasn't the same on the fourth line tonight. So we'll see Fox back next game.
Okay, who comes out?
Probably Delhi.
Dellandre, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that really sucks for him. But I'm just chopping this game up to just Sam Montembeault, just I don't know, became prime Martin Brodeur, Chris Osgood.
I'm willing to blame officials as well.
Only slightly. It's only frustrating because we did score 2 6-on-5 goals, and you're thinking if we were just up a man at any point during the rest of the game, we could have scored another.
We might have had
right.
Goals, yeah.
That's the thought in the back of your head, and it's just like whatever. Throw your hands up. Goaltender's throwing on his head.
Well, now the other thing is that and then we'll wrap it up and do biggest winner, biggest loser. The Stars did have their chances. They did. And it just seemed like we just got completely unlucky.
Well, it's not like we missed it. We just got stoned. It wasn't unlucky. Montembeault was great.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't great, but on top of him making some great, amazing saves, we were just like either a split second late to the puck, or there was just like an awkward, was it Marchman at the end, who, if he was left-handed or right-handed or the opposite-handed of what he is, that puck is in the net.
Yeah,
it would have gone in. So it's just a little bit of unluckiness, and I mean they really did have their chances on top of getting stoned by Montembeault tonight. So okay,
just serve a winometer if you want to talk about that.
No, I don't even want to. Yeah, I cried a little bit when I heard this. James, what's the deserved to winometer? Right
now, it's sitting at 82 to 18, but at points it was 89 to 11, and it was absolute dominance from the Stars pretty much all night long.
What's the expected goals?
5.
I think it was over 5. Yeah,
It was like 5.4 to like 2.3 or something.
Yeah, I see 5.3 right now to 2.1.
Yep.
Pretty
Thanks
crazy.
to moneypuck.com for those stats. But do we even need to go over the biggest winner?
It's Wyatt
Wyatt Johnston.
Johnston. It's Wyatt
Oh.
Johnston.
Okay.
Whenever we don't care about other teams, okay? We
Yeah.
don't care about what happened
Heck
on the
the
other
other
side.
teams.
Wyatt Johnston broke a 16-game goal drought. That's all I care about. When that went in, I was like, okay, I don't even care if we lose anymore. He was stuck on that for forever. He was stuck on 9. He made it to 10. That's the 7th goal scorer now who has 10 goals. 10 goal scorers.
And you called it, James. You also did. You're like, go. You were standing up even before he scored the
To
goal.
be fair, I do that every time he touches the puck for the past like 4 games. But
Fair enough. Chris, I cut you off for some reason. What
I
are you gonna
said
say?
Wyatt Johnston.
You said Wyatt Johnson as well. Okay. I'll give my biggest winner to Sam Montembeault just to say it. I know that was that's the best goaltending performance we've seen all season from a Stars goalie or any other goalie.
Agreed.
Okay. Biggest loser tonight. I have one. What do y'all have?
Wedgwood. This is
Wedgwood.
probably the worst game he's played since he's been our quote unquote starter. And yeah, it was pretty rough when he's below 800 save percentage. I mean, anytime that happens, that's rough.
James?
I'm gonna go with Lindell. He had a couple really bad passing plays in the defensive zone that ended up into scoring chances, which Montreal did not have a lot of tonight. So pretty rough.
I'm gonna give mine to believe it or not, Joe Pavelski. The guy could not score a goal to save his life tonight. I'm not joking. That I could probably think off the top of my head right now at least 5 major chances that he had in this game tonight to score, and he doesn't get a goal. So it's not biggest loser in the fact that he had a bad game. It's biggest loser in the fact that he was snake bit for this game, and the hockey gods said, "You shall not pass, and you will not score." So I don't know what the deal was.
Highest goals expected for individuals. Joe Pavelski led the game with 1.15. That's 0.5 expected goals higher than any other player tonight.
See,
So
there goes my point.
You're right,
there.
Ryan.
There
We
you
like
go.
stats when they say that we're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't find a stat.
Otherwise, they're stupid.
I hate.
Well, before we wrap it up tonight, we got one special little announcement, just a personal thing for someone here, James.
What?
You got to say it. I'm not going to say it for you.
Oh, okay. I proposed to my girlfriend on Christmas Eve, actually. So it's been a while. It's been out and about.
And she said no.
She said no. I'm very upset.
Just kidding. James is engaged. Isn't that great, James?
I'm very excited. Yes, it's very great.
So there's going to be a 5th Chambers child who will be married and no longer be in the single category. So we're really excited for James. Didn't you say September or something like that?
That's what we're
something
thinking.
like
That's
that.
a little early to be giving out dates, huh?
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's
We don't know.
low
He doesn't
early.
know for sure. Yeah.
Sometime around then.
I hate love.
Me too.
Says the newlywed. He hadn't even been married a month. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening. This is a frustrating game, but thank you all for hanging out with us for a little bit as we kind of digress from this game and try to stay sane from this game. Thank you, Sam Montembeault. Go and check out StarcastStickerMarks.com. Go and look at StarcastStickerMarksShop.com as well for all the latest merch from us. That's the best way to support us. And as always, if you like anything you heard, please consider leaving us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. And that would be really cool because that would be the best way for us to grow. And if there's anything else, gentlemen, anything else y'all can think of?
Nope.
Okay. Along with James, along with Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. We'll be back with you guys on Tuesday when the Stars take on the Avalanche. The Stars are going to be looking for some revenge and retribution in that game. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good evening.